Kate Williams was not what she appeared to be. She walked among humans with a grace that seemed otherworldly, her violet eyes scanning everything with intense curiosity. She moved through the small Arizona town, taking notes on her small device disguised as a phone. No one suspected she was Queen Zarella of the Andromeda Empire, the ruler of 3 star systems and billions of beings. She had come to Earth on a secret mission to study humans up close. The Galactic Council was divided on whether Earth was ready for first contact. Some believed humans were too violent and unpredictable. Others saw potential in the young species Zarella wanted to see for herself. Before making such an important decision, her ship orbited far beyond Earth satellites. Cloaked from detection, she used advanced technology to alter her appearance, giving herself human features while maintaining her striking eyes. It was supposed to be a simple 6-month observation mission. She would blend in, gather data, and return home to share her findings with the Council. John Miller fixed cars at Desert Sun Auto Repair. He had grease under his fingernails and dreams in his heart. At 32, he had settled into a predictable life in Phoenix. He worked hard, saved his money, and occasionally went out with friends for drinks at the roadside bar. He never expected anything extraordinary to happen to Haim. On a warm Friday evening, John's friends convinced him to join them at the Cactus Moon Bar for beers and pool. They were celebrating Matt's birthday. It was there that John first saw Kate. She sat alone at the bar, sipping a colorless drink and watching the humans around her with fascination. Something about her drew him in. Perhaps it was her unusual eyes or the way she seemed both present and somehow distant. He gathered his courage and approached her, offering to buy her another drink. To his surprise, she accepted. "What is this ritual?" she asked when he ordered her drink. "Why do humans purchase beverages for strangers they find attractive?" John laughed, thinking she was joking. "Well, when you say it like that, it does sound weird. I guess it's just a way to start a conversation with someone interesting." Kate nodded, making mental notes about human mating rituals. She found John surprisingly easy to talk to. He explained things clearly and asked thoughtful questions about her background. She kept her answers vague, saying she was a researcher from overseas studying American culture. They talked for hours. John found himself telling her things he rarely shared with anyone: his dreams of traveling the world, his childhood in a small town, his passion for fixing broken things. Kate listened with genuine interest, asking questions that made him think deeply about his life. When the bar closed, John offered to walk her home. She explained she was staying at the Desert View Motel just down the road as they walked under the star-filled sky. Kate gazed upward with a look of homesickness. John mistook for appreciation of the night sky. "Beautiful, aren't they?" he said, following her gaze. "More than you know," she replied, her voice soft. "They look different from here." John assumed she meant they looked different from her home country, when the truth was far more extraordinary. They reached her motel and Kate surprised him by asking for his number. She explained she would like to learn more about local life from a native guide. John happily agreed. Over the next few weeks, they spent more and more time together. John showed her around Phoenix, took her hiking in the desert, and introduced her to his favorite foods. Kate documented everything in her strange foreign notebook, sometimes asking questions that made John laugh. Why do humans enjoy sitting in dark rooms watching fictional scenarios on screens? Kate asked during their first movie date. "It's entertainment." John explained, "It's like dreaming while you're awake. We get to experience stories and feelings without actually having to live through dangerous or impossible situations." Kate nodded, finding the concept fascinating on her world. Entertainment was primarily educational or ceremonial. The idea of fiction for emotional experience was novel. As they spent more time together, John found himself falling for the mysterious woman. Her perspective made him see his world with fresh eyes. She noticed beauty in things he had always taken for granted: the desert sunrise, the pattern of leaves on trees, the kindness between strangers. Kate was equally fascinated by John. She had studied humans from afar, but experiencing their emotions firsthand was different. She found herself looking forward to their meetings, forgetting at times that she was there to observe, not to participate. Her reports to the council became less frequent as she immersed herself in human life. 3 months after they met, John took Kate to his favorite spot in the desert, a high mesa overlooking the valley as the sun set, turning the sky brilliant shades of orange and purple. He took her hand. Kate. I know this might seem fast, but I've never felt this way about anyone. You're the most amazing woman I've ever met. Will you marry me? Kate stared at him, her alien mind racing to understand the full implications of his question. She knew the basic concept of human marriage, a formal bonding contract between partners. But the emotional weight John attached to it surprised her. She should say no. She should explain. She would be leaving soon. Her mission would end, and she would return to the stars. Instead, she heard herself say yes. The word escaped before she could analyze it, before she could consider the consequences of such a commitment. Zorella, sovereign ruler of the Andromeda Empire, had just agreed to marry a human mechanic from Phoenix, Arizona. The next few weeks passed in a blur. John eagerly planned a small ceremony while Kate studied human wedding traditions with growing concern. She realized she had made a grave error in Andromeda culture. Marriage was not merely a romantic gesture, but a binding legal and political alliance. By accepting John's proposal, she had potentially created an interstellar incident. She considered telling him the truth, but each time she tried, the words caught in her throat. She had grown to care for the simple human with his kind heart and curious mind. How would he react knowing she was not of his world? Would he fear her, reject her, see her as a monster, or worse, a threat? As their wedding day approached, Kate sent an encrypted message to her ship explaining the situation. Her advisors were horrified, urging her to abort the mission and return immediately. But Zorella found herself unwilling to leave. She requested more time, claiming the research was too valuable. To abandon her advisors reluctantly agreed, but insisted she bring John to the ship after the ceremony to explain everything. The wedding was small, just as John wanted. They exchanged vows in a desert garden surrounded by cacti and wildflowers. John had only a few friends and family members present. Kate claimed her family couldn't travel from overseas. John never questioned why no one came to support her. He was too happy to have found someone who understood him so completely. As they exchanged rings, Kate felt a strange mixture of guilt and joy. She was deceiving this man, yet she had grown to love him in her own way. The human concept of love was still new to her, but she recognized the warm feeling that filled her chest when he smiled, the concern she felt for his happiness, the desire to protect him. That night in their honeymoon cabin under the stars, Kate knew the time had come for truth. John spent his first days aboard Nebula Heart in a state of constant amazement. Everything about the ship defied his understanding of physics and technology. Rooms adjusted their size and configuration based on need. Walls became transparent to show the stars outside or displayed information with a simple gesture. Doorways appeared and disappeared as required. Gravity shifted subtly in different sections for reasons he couldn't comprehend. Kate assigned a guide to help him adapt, a young Andromedian woman named Ruby who had studied Earth cultures. Ruby explained that her name was not her true Andromedian name but an Earth equivalent, chosen for John's comfort. The Andromedians are primarily female. Ruby explained as she showed John. Around the vast ship, males exist but are far less common in our species, about one male for every 12 females. This has shaped our social structure and governance. Is that why all the important people seem to be women? John asked. Ruby nodded. Our society evolved with females in leadership roles by biological necessity, but we value all genders. Our males often serve as caregivers, artists, and philosophers, while females tend toward science, military, and governance. Though there are many exceptions, John tried to absorb everything he was learning while battling constant disorientation. The ship operated on a different time cycle than Earth, with periods of activity and rest that didn't match his internal clock. Kate was often busy with her royal duties, leaving him to explore with Ruby. On the third day, Ruby brought John to a large chamber where several Andromedians worked with holographic displays. She introduced him to Michelle, head engineer of the royal vessel. We understand you are a mechanic on your world, Michelle said, her interest evident. John noticed her luminescent patterns pulsed more rapidly when she was excited. I fix cars, John explained, feeling suddenly inadequate. Internal combustion engines, mostly. Nothing like all this. Michelle smiled. Do not diminish your skills. The principles of mechanical engineering apply across technologies. We would be interested to learn your perspective on some of our systems. John spent several hours with the engineering team, surprised to find himself able to offer insights they hadn't considered. While Andromedian technology was vastly advanced, their approach to problem-solving sometimes lacked the practical simplicity John had developed, working with limited resources on Earth when Michelle showed him an issue with a fluid transport system. John suggested a simple bypass that would reduce complexity. Fascinating, Michelle said, your solution eliminates 14 points of potential failure. We had not considered such an approach. John shrugged. Sometimes simpler is better, especially when things need quick repairs, and the field word of John's practical knowledge spread through the ship. Over the following days, he found himself welcomed in various technical departments, offering his perspective on systems and designs. The Andromedians were brilliant theoretical thinkers, but John brought a hands-on approach they found valuable. Meanwhile, Kate was dealing with the political fallout of her unexpected marriage. The Andromedian Royal Council had convened an emergency session aboard Nebula Heart. The 7 senior counselors arrived on personal shuttles, each more elaborate than the last. John watched their arrival from a viewing platform with Ruby, the tall one with the silver patterns. As Minister Nancy Ruby explained, she oversees scientific development. The one with the geometric patterns is General Mary, head of defense. The one with flowing patterns like water is Ambassador Diane. Our chief diplomat. John felt increasingly nervous about meeting these important figures. Kate had warned him. The council was displeased with her actions. He was preparing to face them when Ruby received a message. The Queen requests your presence in the royal chambers. Ruby told him it's time. Kate waited for him in a spacious room with sweeping views of Earth hanging like a blue jewel in the blackness. She had arranged Andromedian clothing for him, comfortable fitted garments in deep blue with subtle patterns that responded to his movements. Look handsome, she said, helping him adjust the unfamiliar closures. These will help you appear more official before the council. John swallowed nervously. What exactly am I supposed to do or say? Simply be yourself. Kate advised. They need to see you, as you are a human of integrity and intelligence, not try to be Andromedian. Tell them your thoughts honestly. Answer their questions truthfully. Your perspective is valuable precisely because it is different from ours. She led him through corridors that widened and became more elaborate as they approached the council chamber. Guards posted at intervals bowed as they passed. Finally, they reached an enormous circular room with a domed ceiling that displayed a real-time view of surrounding space. 7 Andromedian women waited seated at curved desks arranged in a semicircle. Queen Zarella entered with John beside her. The counselors rose and bowed. Though John noticed several gave him calculating looks. Your Majesty, Minister Nancy spoke first. The council demands an explanation for your unauthorized bonding with this human. Such an action has serious diplomatic and security implications. I will explain all. Kate replied calmly. But first, allow me to introduce John Miller of Earth, my chosen consort. John is a skilled mechanical engineer who has already contributed valuable insights to our engineering teams. John tried to stand tall as 7 pairs of glowing eyes assessed him. Is it true you knew nothing of Queen Zarella's true identity? When you bonded with her ambassador, Diane asked him directly. John cleared his throat. I knew her as Kate Williams. I had no idea she was from another world or that she was a queen. I married her because I loved her, the person I came to know. And now that you know the truth, General Mary asked, her voice sharp. What are your intentions regarding this unexpected position you find yourself in? John looked at Kate, then back at the council. I honestly don't know what my position is supposed to be. Never planned to be married to royalty, let alone alien royalty. But I made a commitment to Kate Zarella and I intend to honor it. I want to learn about your world and maybe help build understanding between our people. Minister Nancy leaned forward, her patterns shifting rapidly. You speak of building understanding. Yet your species remains unaware of our existence. How do you propose to represent a people who do not know we exist? That's a fair point, John admitted. I can claim to represent all of humanity, but I can offer my perspective as a human. Maybe that can help you understand us better. The questioning continued for hours, the council probing John's background, his knowledge of Earth history, politics, and science. They seemed particularly interested in his views on how humans might react to first contact with alien life. Some would be afraid, John acknowledged honestly, but others would be fascinated, excited. Even I think most humans dream of knowing we're not alone in the universe, finally. Ambassador Diane raised the most difficult question. The Council has been divided on whether Earth is ready for official contact. Queen Zarella's mission was to gather information to help us decide. Your marriage has complicated this assessment considerably. How? So John asked. Andromedan law marriage creates a formal alliance between families, and by extension between their peoples, explained Minister Nancy. Your marriage to our queen could be interpreted as an unofficial first contact and alliance formed. Without proper protocols or considerations, John hadn't considered this implication. He looked at Kate, who nodded, confirming the seriousness of the situation. There is another concern, General Mary added more ominously. Some factions within our empire believe Earth should remain isolated, or worse, that humans pose a potential threat that should be contained. Duchess Vanessa leads this faction, and she has been gathering support. Kate stepped forward. I believe my time on Earth has shown that humans, while still developing, have great potential. Their creativity, adaptability, and resilience are remarkable qualities. John himself exemplifies these traits. The council members exchanged glances. It was clear they remained divided. We will continue to. Deliberate, Ambassador Diane announced. The human may remain aboard Nebula Heart while we consider our options. Queen Zarella, you will provide a complete report of your observations on Earth. The following days were tense. Kate was frequently called to private council sessions. John continued working with the engineering teams. Finding the work kept his mind off the uncertainty of his situation. He began to form friendships, particularly with Michelle and her team, who seemed less concerned with politics and more interested in practical knowledge exchange. One evening, as John and Kate shared a meal in her private quarters, she received an urgent message. Duchess Vanessa has called for an imperial vote. She told John, her expression grim. She claims our marriage violates imperial security protocols and demands Earth be designated a restricted world. What's a restricted world? John asked, though he feared he knew the answer. Worlds deemed dangerous to imperial security. Kate explained. They are monitored but forbidden from advancement into space. Some are subtly guided away from certain technologies. Others are more actively contained. John repeated, feeling suddenly cold. What does that mean exactly? In extreme cases, it can mean technological suppression, orbital barriers, even targeted interventions to prevent space development. Kate admitted it has only been done 3 times in our history, and never with a world as populated as Earth. John set down his utensils. Appetite gone, so what happens now? John and Kate sat on the porch of their honeymoon cabin watching the stars shine above the desert. John held her hand, pointing out constellations he recognized. Little did he know, Kate could name every star in those patterns and had visited many of them personally. There is something I must tell you. Kate said, her voice suddenly different, more formal, with a musical quality John had never heard before. Her hand trembled in his. What is it? He asked, concerned by her serious tone. I have not been honest with you, John. My name is not truly Kate Williams. I am Queen Zarella of the Andromeda Empire. I came to Earth to study humans to determine if your species is ready for contact with the galactic community. John stared at her, then laughed. That is quite a joke, Kate. It is no joke, she said gently. She raised her free hand and pressed a small device hidden behind her ear. Instantly her appearance shimmered, her skin taking on a subtle blue hue with luminescent patterns flowing beneath the surface. Her eyes remained violet, but now they glowed slightly in the darkness. Her hair became more vibrant, shifting colors like the northern lights. John jumped back, knocking over his chair, his eyes wide with shock and fear. What are you? He gasped. Andromedian. My people have watched Earth for centuries. We are not so different from humans, though. We have developed along different evolutionary paths. Our technology is more advanced, but we still experience emotions, form bonds, seek meaning in our existence. John struggled to process what he was seeing. His new wife was an alien, an actual being from another world, and apparently some kind of queen. She watched him carefully, giving him time to absorb the revelation. Are you going to experiment on me? John finally asked, his voice shaking. Is that what this was all about? Kate's face fell. No, John, I would never harm you. Our marriage was unexpected. My mission was only to observe, but I developed genuine feelings for you. Something I had not anticipated I should have told you sooner, but I feared losing you. John paced the porch, trying to make sense of everything. Are there others like you here? No. I am the only one of my kind on Earth. Though my ship orbits your planet with a small crew, they monitor my safety from a distance. John sat down again, his mind racing. You said you're a queen. Am sovereign ruler of the Andromeda Empire, which spans 3 star systems and includes 27 inhabited worlds. We are a peaceful confederation, though we have known war in our past. So what happens now? John asked. Does our marriage even mean anything to your people? Or was it just part of your research? Kate moved closer to him, slowly, not wanting to frighten him further. Our marriage means a great deal. In fact, it creates a complicated diplomatic situation by Andromedian law. You are now my consort, entitled to certain rights and privileges within our government. I did not intend for this to happen, but I do not regret it. John ran his hands through his hair, trying to process everything. His ordinary life had suddenly become extraordinary, beyond imagination. What rights and privileges? He asked. You would be recognized as royal consort with diplomatic status, authority, and certain matters and protection under our laws. The council will be displeased. I acted without consultation, but as queen, my choice of partner is ultimately my own. Do I have to go with you to space? John asked, the question suddenly occurring to him. Kate took his hand again, carefully. I would like you to visit my world, John, to see where I come from, to meet my people, but I would never force you. It must be your choice. I understand this is overwhelming. They talked through the night, John asking countless questions about her world, her people, their technology. Kate answered honestly, describing Andromedian culture, their advanced sciences, their philosophy. She explained that her people valued balance, harmony, and knowledge. They had overcome many of the challenges still facing humanity: environmental destruction, resource scarcity, energy limitations, as dawn broke over the desert. John had made his decision. I want to see your world, he said. I don't know if I can be what your people expect, a consort to an alien queen, but I want to try. I married you because I love you. Finding out you're from another planet doesn't change that. It just makes things more complicated. Kate smiled, her luminescent patterns glowing brighter with emotion. I will arrange everything, she said. We can leave tomorrow night. My ship will collect us from this location. That evening, a small shuttle landed silently in the desert behind their cabin. John watched in awe as the sleek vessel touched down, its surface shimmering with the same luminescence as Kate's skin. 3 figures emerged, all female, with the same blue-tinted skin and glowing patterns. They bowed deeply to Kate. Me, Queen. They have been worried about you. The tallest one said, her English perfect, though slightly musical like Kate's. The council demands an explanation. This is my consort, John Miller of Earth, Kate said formally. He comes with us willingly to Andromedian space. Prepare quarters for him aboard the royal vessel. The women regarded John with open curiosity. He shifted uncomfortably under their gaze, feeling suddenly very primitive. One of them approached him with a small device. This will help you adapt to our atmosphere and gravity aboard the ship, she explained. May I? John nodded nervously. She pressed the device against his neck. It made a soft humming sound, but he felt no pain. We should depart quickly, my queen. Another of the women said, our presence may be detected by Earth instruments if we linger. John looked back at the cabin, realizing he was leaving behind everything he had ever known. Should I pack something? He asked, feeling foolish. The women exchanged amused glances. The royal vessel contains all necessities, the third woman explained. We can synthesize any items you require. John nodded. I just need to send a message to my boss telling him I'm taking some time off. I can just disappear. Kate nodded, understanding his concern. You may send a message from the shuttle. It will appear to come from your communication device. John followed the alien women into the shuttle with Kate beside him. The interior was spacious, with curved walls and soft blue tones that seemed to glow from within. There were no visible controls yet. The vessel rose smoothly. Once they were seated, John watched through a clear panel as the earth fell away beneath them, the desert shrinking until it was just a tiny patch in a vast landscape. Is that your ship? He gasped as they approached a massive vessel hanging in space. It was enormous, at least the size of a small city, with elegant sweeping lines and the same luminescent patterns that adorned Kate's skin. That is the royal vessel, Nebula Heart. Kate explained, one of 12 such ships in the Andromedan fleet. Though the largest, as it serves as my mobile palace and diplomatic center. John stared in wonder as they approached the enormous ship. The shuttle was guided into a docking bay, larger than a football stadium. Other vessels were parked in neat rows, some small like their shuttle, others much larger. A crew of blue-skinned Andromedians waited in formation as their shuttle landed. Kate squeezed John's hand reassuringly. "I know this is overwhelming," she said, "but you are under my protection. No harm will come to you here." When the shuttle doors opened, the assembled crew bowed deeply. Kate stepped out first, her bearing completely changed. John realized he was seeing her true self for the first time, Queen Zarella, sovereign of Andromeda. Not Kate Williams, the curious researcher he had fallen in love with. John followed her, feeling terribly out of place in his jeans and t-shirt among the Andromedians in their elegant fitted garments that seemed to shift colors with their movements. The crew stared at him with undisguised curiosity, though they maintained their formal posture. "Welcome to Nebula Heart, John Miller of Earth," Kate announced formally, then more quietly to John alone. "Welcome to my home." The journey to Andromeda Prime took what Kate explained was equivalent to 2 Earth weeks. Though time felt strange during faster-than-light travel, John spent the time learning everything he could about Andromedian culture, law, and history with Ruby as his patient teacher. "The more I learn about your people, the more questions I have," John admitted as they studied historical records in the ship's library. Ruby smiled. "That is the foundation of wisdom. Questions lead to understanding," she brought up a holographic display showing the Andromedian Imperial Palace. The enormous structure seemed to be made of crystal and light, constantly shifting in appearance while maintaining its basic form. "Duchess Vanessa belongs to an old imperial lineage," Ruby explained, pointing to family trees that appeared beside the palace image her ancestors helped establish the empire thousands of years ago. She believes strongly in Andromedian superiority and views other species, especially developing ones, as potential threats. Why, John asked, what is she afraid of? Ruby considered the question. Many developing species follow similar patterns. They advance technologically faster than they advance ethically. They develop weapons before they develop wisdom. Vanessa fears humans will bring violence to the stars. John couldn't entirely dismiss her concerns. Humans didn't have the best track record when it came to peaceful coexistence. But he also knew humanity was capable of great compassion and cooperation. "I'll need to know more about Vanessa if I'm going to face her." John said, "What's her position, her influence?" Ruby nodded approval at his strategic thinking. "Vanessa holds the title of Imperial Security Director. She commands a significant fleet and has allies in the military and resource sectors. Her family controls important mining operations in the outer systems." As Nebula Heart approached Andromeda Prime, John was called to the command deck. He stood beside Kate as the massive ship decelerated, the viewing screen showing their approach to a solar system with twin suns orbiting each other in a cosmic dance. John gasped at the sight of Andromeda Prime, a world larger than Earth with swirling white clouds over deep purple oceans and land masses. "In shades of green and gold, it's beautiful," he whispered. Kate smiled. "This is my home world, the heart of the Empire. Those lights you see on the night side are our cities." Even from orbit, John could see. The Andromedian cities were unlike anything on Earth. They seemed to grow organically from the landscape, with sweeping structures that caught and reflected light. The largest city surrounded the Imperial Palace, which dominated the central continent, its crystal towers visible even from space. A fleet of ships moved into formation around Nebula, Heart escorting the royal vessel to its docking position in high orbit. Shuttles would take them to the surface. Kate explained as they prepared for descent. "You should know, John," Kate said as they boarded the royal shuttle. "No human has ever set foot on Andromeda Prime. You will be the first of your species to visit our world." John felt the weight of that responsibility as their shuttle descended through the atmosphere, the sky changing from black to a soft lavender, the twin suns casting double shadows across the landscape below. They approached the Imperial City, which John now saw was even more impressive. Up-close buildings of impossible shapes rose thousands of feet into the air, some connected by graceful bridges, others standing alone like artistic statements rather than functional structures. Everywhere he looked, John saw evidence of advanced technology vehicles moving without visible means of propulsion plants that seemed to glow with inner light. Andromedians going about their daily lives in this alien metropolis, he noticed they came in various shades of blue and green with different pattern types. Some geometric, others flowing like water or flames. The royal shuttle landed on a platform extending from the highest tower of the Imperial Palace. A delegation waited to receive them. Andromedian officials in formal attire, their patterns glowing brightly. John recognized several council members from Nebula Heart. Among them, as Kate stepped from the shuttle, the assembled Andromedians bowed deeply. John followed, feeling profoundly out of place. Despite his Andromedian clothing, he could feel curious eyes studying him. Whispers passing through the crowd. Queen Zorella, we welcome your return. A tall official announced formally. The Imperial Assembly has been convened as requested. All houses are represented. Thank you, Minister. Karen Kate replied with equal formality. May I present John Miller of Earth, consort? The minister bowed slightly to John, though he detected reluctance in the gesture. The human will be accommodated in the royal quarters, as is proper, she said, though it is highly irregular. John was escorted with Kate through the palace interior, which defied his understanding of architecture. Spaces seemed to flow into one another with few distinct boundaries. Surfaces shifted colors responding to those who passed by. They arrived at a vast circular chamber where hundreds of Andromedians waited arranged in tiered seating around a central platform. Kate squeezed John's hand reassuringly as they entered the Imperial Assembly. All eyes turned to watch them. John saw Duchess Vanessa. Immediately, she stood taller than most Andromedians, her patterns sharp and angular, glowing with intense blue light, her expression cold as she watched their approach. Queen Zorella took her place on the central platform. John standing beside her. The assembly grew quiet as Senior Minister Julia called, "For order. We are convened to address the matter of Earth status." She announced, her voice carrying effortlessly through the chamber. Duchess Vanessa has called for restricted designation, citing security concerns. Queen Zorella opposes this designation. Both will present their arguments. Vanessa stepped forward, her movements precise, controlled her gaze fixed on the assembly, rather than on Kate or John. Esteemed members of the Imperial Assembly. She began, I speak today out of concern for our security and our future. For generations we have observed, Earth and its dominant species, humans, have shown themselves to be violent, territorial, and reckless. They wage war against their own kind. They have damaged their planet almost beyond repair. They develop weapons with frightening speed and creativity. Murmurs passed through the assembly as Vanessa continued, now our queen, while conducting what should have been a simple observation mission, has taken a human mate. She displayed images of Earth wars, environmental destruction, nuclear tests. This is the species she would bring into our civilization. She turned to face Kate directly. Your Majesty, I respect your authority. But in this matter, your judgment has been compromised by emotional attachment. Kate rose to respond, her voice calm. But Fermi have spent months among humans, living as one of them. Yes, they face challenges. They struggle with conflict and environmental concerns. But I have also witnessed their capacity for growth, for change, for wonder. Duchess Vanessa shows you images of human failures. I could show you their art, their music, their selfless acts of courage and compassion. She gestured and new images appeared. Humans planting trees, rescuing animals from disasters, embracing across differences. Humanity is young, yes, but full of potential. Their diversity is their strength. They think differently than we do. Approach problems from unexpected angles. My consort John Miller exemplifies this. He has already contributed valuable insights to our engineering teams aboard Nebula. Hart John watched the assembly members, some nodding in agreement, others skeptical. The debate continued for hours, with various officials presenting evidence and opinions about Earth and humanity. Finally, Minister Julia turned to John. The assembly would hear from the human himself, she announced. What say you, John Miller of Earth? Why should we not restrict your world? John stepped forward, heart pounding. He had not expected to address the entire assembly. Taking a deep breath, he began. I can't stand here and tell you humans are perfect or that we don't make terrible mistakes. We do, we fight, we damage our world. Sometimes we let fear guide us instead of wisdom. But that's not the whole story. He paused, gathering his thoughts. The thing about humans is we learn. We adapt, we grow. Each generation builds on the knowledge of those before them, trying to do better. I come from a line of mechanics. My grandfather fixed farm equipment. My father fixed trucks. I fix cars. Each of us took what we learned and built on it. That's humanity in a nutshell. We're always trying to fix things, to improve, to solve the next problem. He looked around at the assembly. From what I've seen, Andromedians plan for centuries. You build systems meant to last for generations. That's wonderful. But humans, we have to improvise. We learn to make do with what we have, to find creative solutions with limited resources. Those are different strengths, but both valuable. John gestured to the engineering team from Nebula Heart who had been invited to the assembly. Ask your engineers if working with a human perspective added value. Ask if seeing problems through different eyes offered new solutions. I believe our species could help each other grow if given the chance. He turned to face Duchess Vanessa directly. You fear what humans might become. I understand that fear, but consider what we might become together. What both our worlds could learn from each other. I'm just one human standing before you, but I'm asking for a chance, not just for myself, but for all the humans who look up at the stars and wonder if they're alone. The assembly fell silent when John finished speaking. He returned to Kate's side, his heart still racing. She took his hand, her patterns glowing with pride. 6 months passed as John settled into his extraordinary new life, dividing his time between Earth and Andromeda Prime. When on Earth, he and Kate lived quietly in a small house outside Phoenix. She resumed her human disguise, though now John could see through it to the luminescent patterns beneath her skin. When in Arizona, Kate continued her research while John returned part-time to the garage, explaining his frequent absences as consulting work. His co-workers noticed changes in him, a new confidence, unusual insights into mechanical problems, strange ideas that somehow worked, though they couldn't know the truth that he was bringing Andromedian perspectives to Earth engineering, just as he brought human perspectives to Andromedian problems on Andromeda Prime. John had been given a workshop in the palace, where he tinkered with technology, creating hybrid devices that combined human ingenuity with Andromedian advancement. A small team of curious engineers often joined him, eager to learn his approach to problem solving. But despite the seeming peace, John remained concerned about Duchess Vanessa. Through palace sources, he learned she had increased surveillance of Earth and continued to gather evidence of human conflicts and environmental damage. She was building a case for future restriction. Kate worried too. I need to show the Council more of Earth's potential, she told John as they prepared for another journey to Andromeda. Perhaps we should bring more evidence of human creativity and cooperation. What did you have in mind? John asked. Kate smiled. I have been studying Earth musical traditions. There is nothing like human music in the Empire. The variety, the emotional resonance the Council should experience it directly. And so John found himself helping organize the first human musical performance in Andromeda space. Kate selected recordings across genres from classical to jazz, indigenous music to modern pop. The Council members listened in fascination to sounds utterly foreign to their experience. Ambassador Diane was particularly moved by a cello concerto. The emotional depth, she murmured. I had no idea. General Mary surprised everyone by developing an appreciation for Earth jazz. The improvisation reminds me of tactical thinking. She explained constant adaptation within a structural framework. Fascinating. The music initiative helped shift some opinions, but John knew Vanessa remained unmoved. He needed to understand her opposition better if he hoped to counter it. Ruby had become John's closest friend and advisor on Andromeda. She helped him navigate the complex social and political currents of the imperial court. One day as they walked through the palace gardens, she offered an insight. Vanessa's family has history with first contact situations. Ruby explained her great-grandmother led the delegation to the Praxis system when it joined the Empire. The integration went poorly, culminating in conflict. Many Praxians rejected Andromedian authority. Vanessa's great-grandmother was killed in the uprising, so this is personal for her. John realized. Ruby nodded. Some wounds pass through generations. The Duchess believes she honors her ancestors by protecting Andromeda from similar threats. Armed with this understanding, John requested a private meeting with Vanessa. To his surprise, She accepted they met in her offices in the security wing of the palace. Her patterns cold and controlled as always. "Consort John." She greeted him formally. "What matter? Brings you to Security Division." John chose his words carefully. "I wanted to understand your perspective better. Your concerns about Earth are clearly genuine. I hope we might find common ground." Vanessa studied him, her expression unreadable. "You speak diplomatically for a mechanic." John smiled. "My job was always about identifying problems and fixing them. I think we might actually want the same thing. A peaceful future for both our peoples." Vanessa gestured to a display showing Earth news reports. "Of conflicts, resource disputes, political tensions, I monitor your world closely, consort. There is much that needs fixing." John nodded, acknowledging her point. "May I show you something different?" he asked. Vanessa hesitated, then nodded. John connected his data device to her system, displaying images and videos he had collected. Volunteers rebuilding after disasters. Scientists from different nations working together on climate solutions. Children from former enemy countries playing together. For every conflict, there are thousands working for peace. John explained, for every problem. There are many seeking solutions. Humans can be destructive. Yes, but we can also create, and heal. Vanessa watched silently, her patterns shifting subtly. "What do you propose, consort? A cultural exchange program?" John suggested carefully selected humans introduced to Andromedian knowledge under controlled conditions. Andromedians studying Earth culture and science directly, not just through observation. Give our peoples a chance to learn from each other before making permanent decisions about Earth's status. Duchess Vanessa considered his words for a long moment. Such a program would require extensive security protocols, substantial resources oversight. "Understand," John said, "but consider the potential benefits. New perspectives, approaches. You've seen my contributions to engineering. Imagine what other humans might offer." "I will consider your proposal," Vanessa said finally. "Though my concerns remain. I appreciate your diplomatic approach, consort. It suggests perhaps some humans can indeed learn." It was a small opening. But John left feeling hopeful. He reported the conversation to Kate, who embraced him, her patterns glowing brightly. "You may have accomplished more with one conversation than I did with months of formal arguments," she said. "This is why I love you, John Miller. Your heart speaks directly to others." Over the following weeks, John worked with Ruby and Ambassador Diane to develop a detailed proposal for a limited cultural exchange. Duchess Vanessa provided security requirements, while General Mary offered logistical support. Even Minister Nancy contributed scientific protocols for knowledge sharing. Finally, the proposal went before the council. Kate presided as the members debated the merits and risks of bringing selected humans into contact with Andromedian civilization. John watched nervously from his consort's position, beside the royal seat. The council voted to approve a pilot program. 7 humans would be invited to Andromeda. Prime scientists, artists, and diplomats carefully selected for their open-mindedness and discretion. They would be the first humans besides John to learn the truth about the wider universe. Now came the most delicate part. John and Kate returned to Earth to extend the invitations. Each candidate would be approached, carefully assessed for their reaction to the truth, and given the choice to participate or have their memory of the encounter gently modified. The first invitation went to Dr. Beth Andrews, a climate scientist whose innovative approaches had impressed Andromedian observers. John and Kate met her at a conference in Geneva. Kate began after privacy protocols were established. "What would you say if I told you solutions to Earth's climate challenges might come from beyond Earth itself?" Beth laughed, initially thinking it a metaphorical question. When Kate revealed her true form, the scientist was stunned, speechless. For several minutes then, her training took over, and she began asking detailed technical questions about Andromedian environmental management. 2 more scientists joined the program, a quantum physicist and a marine biologist, followed by a composer, whose music had particularly moved the council, a diplomat with experience in cross-cultural negotiation, a philosopher specializing in ethics, and a young engineer whose innovative thinking reminded John of himself. As the program participants prepared for their journey, John reflected on how far he had come from the day he met a mysterious woman with violet eyes in an Arizona bar. His accidental marriage had opened not just his world but potentially all of humanity to new possibilities. The day of departure arrived. John and Kate stood with the 7 human participants as the royal shuttle descended to a remote location in the Nevada desert. The humans watched in awe as the craft became visible, its sleek form shimmering in the morning. Flight Dr. Andrews turned to John, her expression a mixture of excitement and anxiety. "Is it everything you imagined?" she asked. John smiled, thinking of the wonders and challenges that awaited them on Andromeda Prime, the alien palace, the council, sessions, the technology beyond human imagination, but also the simple moments with Kate learning about each other's worlds, finding connection across the starsuits more. He told her so much more than I could have imagined, and this is just the beginnings. They boarded the shuttle. John took one last look at Earth, the planet that had shaped him, the home he now represented among the stars. He thought of Duchess Vanessa still watching, still doubtful, and the council members slowly changing their views. He thought of all the humans who still looked up at the night sky wondering if they were alone. Someday they would know the truth, someday the stars would not seem so distant. But for now, this small group would carry humanity's first steps into a larger universe. John took Kate's hand as the shuttle doors closed, her luminescent patterns pulsing in sync with his heartbeat. "I ever tell you," he said as the craft rose silently into the sky, "that I'm glad you chose that bar that night?" Kate smiled, her violet eyes glowing with affection. "Some things perhaps are written in the stars," she replied. "We just needed the courage to read them." As the shuttle accelerated upward, leaving Earth behind, John Miller, mechanic from Phoenix, Arizona, accidental, consort to an alien queen, felt a sense of purpose and wonder. Greater than he had ever known, his ordinary life had become extraordinary in ways no human had experienced before, and